When you first begin Dreamweaver, this is the screen that you're likely to see. So the first thing we need to do is set up a website. The way we do that is go to the website icon, which is at the top, and type in or select new site. Now what it will do, it will eventually ask us for a folder on the desktop, or the folder in the computer rather, where we can store the files that we're going to use. So we're going to call the site my new site, and we're going to put it onto, we'll browse here, we'll go to this PC, documents, and we're going to make a folder called my new site. We open that folder and we select it, and you can see it's now here on the page, and I'm going to save it. Okay, so what we've got now here, if you look over here, we've got site is my new site and whereabouts it is. Okay, the first page we need to do is file and new. So we want a new page. And we want a blank page, that's what we want, just a blank page. So we select that, and it's going to be HTML. Don't worry about the layout, and create. And here we go. Now you can have this split. For the moment I'm just going to do the design and then we'll start. So we're going to write, this text is meant to be in the middle of the screen and red in colour. Not really hard, but what we want to do is change the appearance of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to set up some, and also the location of this on the screen. So what we're going to do is start up some new cascading style sheets or style sheet rules. So if you go to the bottom of the screen here, and if it's not on, it could be on HTML, click on CSS, and we're going to do a new CS rule, so edit rule. We're going to do a class, because that's, if you look here, you've got class, you've got ID, so we can set up one element, or you can set up a tag, or you can set up a compound. We won't worry about compound at the moment. We're going to set up the CSS rule. Before we do that, however, we're going to have a look at our split code. You'll notice here that I've got various stuff here that's really just setting up the web page. It's got the head. Don't worry about the head part, that's just all the settings, and then the body, which is really the business end. Now we've typed in, this means it's meant to be the middle of this text is meant to be in the middle of the screen, blah blah blah. What we actually want to do is put that in a separate section, if you like. The way we do that is to type in div or division. I'm going to call it heading, and we do the opposite little dover, greater than less than signs, to show that that's the start and that's the end of this setting. But that's the start, we also have to put one at the end, and so you put that, and you can put a slash, and you'll notice when I put the less than sign and the slash, it automatically filled in with div. So what we've set up here now is a division, or a section of the web page. Okay, now with our web, what we want to do is actually change this. So we select the text inside the division. We go down to CSS rule, and we're going to edit the rule and make a new one. Remember, this is how it looks. So the first one is going to be called page underscore container. Are we going to apply it to this document only? No, we're going to apply it to other documents in the site. So we're going to save it to a new style sheet file. And okay. Now, as soon as we do that, it comes up and wants us to name the new style sheet file. So we can put it in the one folder that we're putting all our files in for the website. That's not a good idea. It's a good idea to make a new folder called CSS or style sheets or my style. I'll call it CSS. And then I'm going to call this my style. My styles, and save it. And okay. Alright, if we look up here, no, it's not going to let us, I'll show you in a minute. But what we need to do is set up our page container. What do we want to do about it? Well, we want this little box that's around here, we want to define the width of it and also where it is on the page. So we go to box and we set the width as 900 pixels, which just is a measure of how many dots it is across from one end to the other. The other thing we want to do is change the margin. So we click off same for all. Right we set as auto, left we set as auto. What this does will then automatically place it in the middle of the screen. And we go okay. So we've now set our style sheet, and we can see here we've got our files for our web page, and we've also got a folder, and if I click on this, a folder called CSS, and in it is the style sheets we've got. Alright, we've got this unnamed page. It is a very good idea when you save this, you call it index. Why? Because whenever you load that up to the internet, it will be looking for an index file as the home page for the site. So, and we don't want to save it in CSS, we want to save it in my new site, so we save that. And you'll now see that we've got my new site, it's now got index, it's also got a folder, and in the folder is my style sheets. Okay, now I'd like to see what this looks like, so I can click on this and preview in Chrome, which I'm going to do now. Yes, I'm going to save all the files, and what's happening? We can now see that our text has moved from the left hand side to the middle. Now you'll say, hang on, it's not in the middle of the page. Well, that's right, because it doesn't fill up the 900 pixels across. It only fills up part of it. So, and we've only done part of this. We've only put it sort of in the middle of the page. We haven't changed it in red. So let's close this and let's go back to what we started with. Okay. The next step is to make something that's going to change the look of the font. And the way we do that is we're going to make a new rule. So we've got page container. You can see that here. We're going to add a new rule and we're going to call it page heading. Now it's a good idea to name these settings as you, for what they're for. So when you go and look at them, you know exactly what each one of them is for. We want to put this in our my styles file. Okay, and what do we want to do? Well, we want to set the type. We're going to set it as Comic Sans, just to make it a bit different. We're going to have the font size as 36. Font weight maybe bold. Color we want red, nice red color. And that should be about what we want. So now we go OK. Immediately you see that this text has changed. So let's have a look. and you can see that we've got this text is meant to be in the middle of the screen. If you now look at the we now have a look at what it's going to look like when we look at it live, and we're going to save this first. So File, Save All. Okay, then we're going to see what it's going to look like live in a browser. So here we go, looking what it looks like in the browser, but hang on a minute. That's red and it's Comic Sans, but it's not sitting in the middle of the screen. That's not right. We set it up so that it would. So what is the problem? So let's go and have a look. If we come back here, we look at our div, a division, which little box that holds this text, we can see it's got page heading, which is what we set the color and the size of the text. But what it's missing is page container. Where's that? So we're going to put in page, underscore, and you can see we've got page container here. Oops. Just get rid of that little extra. Now I've got page container and page heading in relation to this division. We want to save this now. Save. Actually, save all. Right, now what we want to do is have a look at what it looks like in reality in our browser. So we're going to do that. If we have a look now, we can see that the text is in the middle of the screen and it's red and Comic Sans. So what we've applied here is two separate instructions from our style sheet. The first one is the page container, which then makes sure it's in this little container or box at the top of the screen. And the second one is that we've set the text as the page heading, so it's Comic Sans, it's red. Now we didn't set the text as centered. If we did, then it would be centered in the box in the center of the page. And we can do that by going into div. So we select the text again. We go to a rule. So let's go to page heading. We edit rule. Now, if we would like to set our heading, then what we can do is position, and we can position, where are we? Okay, we can select block, and we can select our text align, and we're going to select it center. I'm going to OK. Now that is centered. Now if we save everything, so file, save all, remember it reads it from the hard disk when you look at what it looks like in the browser. Now when we've centered the text inside the box that's centered on the page, and also that it's now in red and Comic Sans, you can see that the text is centered in the center of the box, which is in the center of the page. The box starts here and ends here. Okay, so that is how to use CSS or style sheets on a web page.